Just 28 seconds into the opening bell, white chocolate Nikita Ababiy landed a brutal body shot that folded his opponent like a lawn chair.
It's hard to hold.
Out of his first 8 pro opponents, 6 didn't even survive the first round.
Punch, I mean, his favorite fighter might be Roy Jones Jr., but
Before he even turned 21, he was already fighting at Madison Square Garden, the O2 Arena in London, and the Staples Center in LA. And all of this insane success happened in his first 13 months as a pro. Eddie Hearn straight up called him a lunatic. And the entire boxing world was convinced this Russian-American kid was destined to be the next dominant superstar. But if you look at his resume today, you'll find a mind-boggling reality. 14-0, with 8 KOs, a record as clean as a work of art. Yet, somehow, he inexplicably became part of boxing's unemployed roster. Today, we're diving deep to uncover a truth the internet forgot. How exactly did the untouchable ghost of Brighton Beach lose his future? Before being mercilessly chewed up by the corporate machine, Ababiy was purely a savage beast clawing his way out of Brooklyn's toughest Russian neighborhoods. I was a total troublemaker in school, a regular in the principal's office, Ababiy recalled. My dad saw I had way too much energy to burn, so he hung a heavy bag in the backyard and slapped me straight into a boxing gym. Over 130 amateur fights, New York Golden Gloves, Junior National Golden Gloves, this overflowing violent energy was precisely channeled into the ring. In a Flatlands gym surrounded by African American fighters, this white kid carved out a name for himself purely on monstrous rhythm and timing. His gymmates gave him the nickname that would define the rest of his life, White Chocolate.
who started his career at 13-0, and that was a knockdown.
At 19, promotional giant Matchroom slapped a contract on the table. DAZN's cameras were all pointed at him, ready to turn him into their next cash cow. In October 2018, at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Ababiy made his pro debut. He didn't even look like he was there to box. He looked like he had a personal vendetta against the opening bell. With one devastating liver shot, Jake Hendrickson folded on the spot, 28 seconds. The walkout lasted longer than the actual fight. 6 weeks later, Rodriguez suffered the exact same fate, getting blasted into another dimension in round 1, handing him the first humiliating KO loss of his career. From there, the script took a wild turn nobody saw coming. Isaiah Selden, son of former heavyweight champ Bruce Selden, stepped into the ring carrying his family's legacy, trying to use Ababiy as a stepping stone. The result? In less than a round, Ababiy violently shattered that so-called boxing pedigree. Regardless of your famous last name, in the face of absolute violence, privilege means nothing. Crossing the Atlantic to London, veteran fighter Fulton got his face smashed in, forcing the ref to wave it off in the second round. Then, at the Staples Center in LA against Jonathan Batista, things got genuinely bizarre. Batista, realizing he was outgunned, literally flopped on the canvas, faking a seizure to buy sympathy. When he got up, he started fighting dirty, headbutting, and even throwing a cheap shot after the bell. Through it all, Ababiy didn't even blink. He coldly watched Batista make a clown of himself and dismantled every dirty trick he threw. Eventually, the ref had enough and disqualified Batista. This wasn't just a regular KO, it was a physical and psychological beatdown. Ababiy proved to the world, he won't just break your bones, he will completely crush your soul. 8 fights, 8 wins, total annihilation. At the time, Ababiy truly believed becoming a world champion was just a matter of time. However, the most disgusting part of the pro boxing swamp is that what truly destroys a prodigy is never a heavy punch. It's the cold-blooded exploitation of the business. Early in his career, he dragged a severely exhausted, recovering body through a grinding 6-round fight. That should have been a massive red flag, but everyone was too busy cheering his win streak to care. Soon after, his packed fight schedule started showing massive, suffocating gaps. In October 2021, after a forced 11-month layoff, Ababiy returned to comfortably outpoint Debison over 8 rounds. On camera, he still looked slick, but on the mic afterward, he dropped a chilling reality check. 2 weeks before the fight, I was sick to death. Thought I caught the bug. I got into a car crash in between. Just all kinds of mental torture piling up. But the blood-sucking corporate machine didn't care. To squeeze every last drop of value out of him, they forced him to fight through illness and severe injuries. The real hell came against a tough 14-1 fighter named Larios. It was an absolute bloodbath. He barely scraped by with a decision for his 12th win, but post-fight medicals revealed he went into the fight with severe muscle and ligament tears. When he pushed his body past the breaking point and needed time to heal, these vampires didn't offer any medical support. Instead, they coldly weaponized his contract clauses and shelved him like a broken toy. Fight offers were ruthlessly rejected. During his absolute physical prime from age 22 to 25, he was forced to sit on the couch as a spectator. Sometimes, in the boxing game, what knocks you out isn't a guy with gloves. It's a cold, hard piece of paper. If injuries and being shelved were the weight crushing him, the looming survival crisis was the final straw that pushed Ababiy to the edge. Growing up, boxing was his entire life. He never worked a normal job. When the fights vanished and his bank account hit zero, he wasn't facing a career crisis. He was facing the brutal reality of starvation. The most depressing scene in this whole story happened during a private underground exhibition in Russia that should have stayed buried forever. In the dead of winter in 2023, blacklisted by promoters and out of options, he had no choice just to survive. It wasn't until a video leaked in 2026 that the bloody truth came out. A savage 5-round, no headgear brawl. I flew to Russia just 4 days before the fight, running a high fever. My coach, Andre, literally passed out at the weigh-ins. Ababiy mocked himself in an interview. Because of the severe sickness and insane weight cut, I couldn't even drink water or take meds before walking out. My body was completely paralyzed. Everyone around him, including his team, begged him to pull out. But looking at his empty wallet, he bit down on his mouthpiece and stepped through the ropes. Looking back now, that was an incredibly stupid decision. This wasn't some friendly exhibition. It was a desperate gamble, trading his dignity on the edge of death just to afford his next meal. Promoters refused to give him legitimate fights, yet they sat comfortably watching him drain his life away just for a few survival bucks. For years, his official record was frozen in dead silence. His personal channel went dark for a whole year. Former teammates vanished. He was left alone in a rundown room, licking his wounds and staring at the wreckage of his life. Yet he didn't utter a single complaint. With red eyes, he forced a bitter smile to the camera. Everything happens for a reason. Just keep a good heart and keep moving forward. Fate's favorite joke is using someone else's peak to highlight your rock bottom. While Ababiy was iced out by the business and risking his life overseas for pennies, the guys he bled with in the Brooklyn mud were climbing to the top of the pyramid. Bruce Carrington and Richardson Hitchens, his former stablemates, were now world champions, basking in the spotlight. Imagine watching your peers strap on shiny belts while you're sitting on a couch with a perfect 14-0 record, treated like a nobody. That kind of despair would drive a normal man insane. But Ababiy took that toxic jealousy and boiled it down into pure revenge fuel. To say it didn't eat me up watching them win would be a lie, Ababiy said with heartbreaking honesty. Of course, I want to be in the center of that spotlight. They are my brothers, and I'm proud of them. But at the same time, I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. Boxing is a complete madhouse. The out-of-the-ring garbage will drag you through the mud at any second. But trust me, watching others shine only makes my hunger far more terrifying than anyone else's. My time is absolutely coming. This wasn't the empty cope of a broken man. This was a predator, crawling back from hell, quietly sharpening his knives and glaring coldly at the entire industry. In February 2026, after a silence so long people thought he retired, the ghost of Brighton Beach marched back into the ring with pure bloodlust, obliterating his opponent in just one round. This time, he wasn't navigating the dark alone. Backing him up is a luxurious, elite team. The 6-foot Russian-American bomber has officially set up camp at David Benavidez' Boxar gym in Miami. He's no longer the lost kid waiting for the phone to ring in a local community gym. He's training with the absolute apex predators of the sport. Being around Benavidez and these hungry wolves every single day, the intensity just forcefully drags your level up. Tactically, he's linked up with veteran coach Milton LaCroix, a man with a legendary 40-year coaching career. "This kid's body punching is just wicked," Milton said, hiding no shock. "I've been in this game for 40 years, and I've never seen a kid dig to the liver like this." According to media leaks, Ababiy's new unpredictable half-hook, half-uppercut combo is virtually a modern replica of heavyweight Razor Ruddock's terrifying smash punch, finding a bizarre, devastating angle to literally crush an opponent's organs. Armed with this lost, devastating technique and carrying his flawless 14-0 record, Ababiy has finally aimed his crosshairs squarely at the middleweight throne. Why now? Because the entire middleweight division is rotting, suffering an unprecedented power vacuum. The current belt holders are a bunch of no-names with zero box office draw, leaning on 41-year-old Arislandi Lara to keep the lights on. Look across the entire boxing landscape. Who else can bring a more devastating visual shock to this dead division than this bleached blonde body snatcher from Brighton Beach with blood on his hands? Nikita Ababiy's story is a dark cinematic masterpiece about the ultimate exploitation of corporate boxing. He has never lost to a living, breathing man inside the ring. He was almost buried alive by greedy suits, injuries, bankruptcy, being shelved, forced into underground fights. The machine used every dirty trick to let this prodigy rot silently in the mud. But these vampires forgot one thing. The longer you cage a beast, the harder you press it down, the more its destructive power multiplies the day it finally breaks out. Because I know for a fact, these so-called tough guys at 160 aren't ready to take a real middleweight bomb. He dropped that quote back in 2019. After 7 years of brutal reality, it doesn't sound outdated, it sounds like a chilling death threat. 14-0. Time used to be his greatest enemy. But now, time is standing right behind him, smirking, waiting for his coronation. Can white chocolate smash the gates of the middleweight division with that lethal punch? Can he bring that world title back to Brighton Beach like he always dreamed? Let me know your predictions in the comments below.